Now, if you've been wondering where all the bumblebees have gone this summer, you're not alone. The wettest spring on record has left the number of nests and colonies in decline.
And many of our plants and crops rely on bees for pollination, so protecting their numbers is actually vital for food production. Scientists at the University of Oxford are now studying bee behaviour to work out how best to protect them. Our reporter Brennan Nichols has more.
The bumblebee, vital to our food chain, but numbers and even species in the UK are in decline.
Bumblebees, they're one of the essential insects for pollination. So about 70% or at least 70 crops in the UK rely on bumblebees, or bumblebees are extremely important for their pollination. So that's a lot of things that we eat. And if we didn't have them, there'd be a lot fewer foods for us to eat.
That's why scientists from Oxford's Bee Lab are studying them.
Anything that we can learn about their biology and behaviour is important to helping conserve these species. So knowing how they're making their foraging decisions is like one additional piece of what is quite a complex story.
In this latest research, bumblebees were offered two choices: horizontal artificial flowers with nectar and vertical ones. And which one they chose depended on how much nectar they got back from the energy needed to collect it.
If there was a really big difference in rewards, then the bees would forage on the much more rewarding vertical flowers. If there was only a small difference, then they would switch to foraging on the horizontal flowers. And what we found was that bumblebees were foraging in a way which suggests they're trying to maximise the rate at which they get energy back to the colony.
Studies like this are unlocking the learning of how to help our pollinators and protect them from decline. And that, in turn, helps protect our food chain too.
If you know more about how bees are likely to be deciding between different flowers, why they're visiting the flowers that they do visit, you can hopefully optimise the crops that you grow to make them more attractive for bees, which would hopefully be better for the bees, but also improve the pollination of your crop, and better pollination typically leads to better yield.
Brennan Nichols with that report. We'll be joined on the sofa by bee expert Damson Tregaskis. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
With your bee hotels, which we'll explain in just a moment. But one crucial question I had, could you just explain the difference between a bumblebee that we just saw there and honeybees?
So they're both social species of bee, but honeybees live in massive colonies. So we're talking 50 to 80,000 individual bees, whereas a bumblebee colony usually maxes out at about 400 bees, but can be much less than that. Also, honeybees are the only bee to what we call overwinter as a colony. So that means the whole colony, the queen, all of the workers, lasts through the winter. Whereas bumblebees and most solitary bees, and also wasps and a lot of other insects, it's only the queen that hibernates over winter.
Okay.
So the queen hibernates, and then in the spring, she sets up a new colony, finds somewhere new to live, does the whole process from scratch on her own.
But do bumblebees still produce honey, though, in quantities or not?
Not really, no,
okay.
Because honeybees do that because they need the winter stores.
OK, I see.
So they need enough food in the pantry, as it were, to feed the whole family. Whereas in bumblebees, it's because it's only the queen that hibernates on her own. She sort of burrows down, goes to sleep, shuts down for the winter. She doesn't really need that much food.
OK, so that's the basics covered. Why are some bees in decline?
There's a whole myriad of reasons. So when we talk about things like save the bee, we're not really talking about honeybees. There is some debate, but we're not going to get into that. It's mainly because honeybees are managed by humans for the most part. And so if there's not enough nectar, not enough food, anything like that, then humans will take steps to mitigate that. For bumblebees, for solitary bees, if it's raining all summer and they can't get to the flowers to get their food, then they're going to starve to death. If they don't have anywhere to live, they're not going to thrive. So the main problem at the moment when we're talking about declining bees is lack of forage, lack of habitat, pesticide use, weather changes. There's all sorts of things that are causing issues.
So I guess we can plant flowers in our gardens that would encourage them.
Yeah,
but you've brought it. Just talk us through what else we can do.
Yeah, so I've got me some props. I've got my B&B here.
Very good.
So this is a food can filled with paper straws. And so it's a really easy DIY thing that you can do at home, do with your kids. It's a really good sort of rainy day activity.
So you cut the paper straws off.
Cut the paper straws.
Stick them inside.
Stick them in. I put a bit of PVA glue or something in the bottom just to glue them in. And then stick that in your garden somewhere sort of mostly sunny with a little bit of shade, ideally south facing. And you'll get bees habitat, bees moving into that. And then at the end of the year, it's all recyclable.
Mm.
OK. What's the block?
The block
Similar
is
thing?
very similar thing. It's a bit more hard wearing, obviously. So this is just an old cut-off bit of block of wood. And I've just drilled a bunch of holes in it. So ideally, you want them to be sort of 8 to 10 millimetres drill bit. But yeah, and then you're placing it in the same place, sort of warm and sheltered and sunny. And then over here, we've got a makeshift bumblebee nest. So if you want to attract bumblebees to your garden, this is how to do it. So with this, we've just got a standard terracotta pot. You can use any kind of pot. You want something that's nice and sort of heavy so that it keeps the weather off. And what you'd do is you'd make like a bowl out of chicken wire or something, fill that with dry moss or straw or dried grass cuttings. You want it to be dry, but it can be virtually anything. And then you're going to place a bit of garden hose into the middle of that. And you're going to bury this in the soil so that the lip is sort of covered. And you're going to leave, if I just place this here, you're going to leave the end of the hose exposed so they can crawl in. They can use this as a tunnel to get into the nest, cover up this little hole on the top.
I was going to say, so it can't get wet inside.
So it can't get wet inside,
really...
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the pipe means that it's sort of protected from predators.
OK, and so some brilliant ideas there. To people who are watching this morning say, I don't want bees in my garden. They can go next door, but I don't want them in mine. Well, what do you say? Especially if they've got kids, they're worried about getting stung. And... Yeah,
I mean, so I will admit getting stung hurts. I am a beekeeper, I get stung a lot. It always hurts, I will admit that. But you do want bees in your garden. You want all sorts of wildlife in your garden. You're not going to have flowers in your garden if you don't have bees and other pollinators in your garden. And some of them we think of as nicer than others. A lot of people don't like wasps, but they do a fantastic job of eating spiders and pests that you might have in your garden, aphids. So you do want bees. And the thing that I always tell people to remember is you're not a flower. They don't want anything from you. If you just stand still, they'll leave you alone.
Speak for yourself, Dan. Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
These giant bees are freaking me out completely behind as someone who gets a bit allergic. But
you do want bees.
I do. You do.
You do want bees.
I do want, and I'm not a flower.
Exactly.
Stay with us. You're watching BBC Breakfast.